Welcome to the Mentors Podcast. I'm your host, Emre Yılmaz, and today I'm speaking with a multifaceted artist, a good friend, and a mentor, Demir Demirkan. A celebrated rock guitarist, singer, composer, producer, and now author, Demir's career began in the Turkish metal scene with the influential band Pentagram. His journey from a heavy metal player to a solo artist and a producer who has collaborated with a variety of artists reflects a path marked by personal and artistic milestones. His contributions to the music industry have spanned from his heavy metal roots to a variety of collaborative projects, navigating through different genres and experiences, while contending with the dynamics of public persona and self-discovery. In today's conversation, we delve into the heart of Demir's artistic philosophy, his endeavors in various facets of creativity, and his unshakable commitment to personal development. We discuss the significant role of meditation in his life. We touch upon the nuances of the human experience, fatherhood and family, the importance of humor in life's seriousness, and the ever-changing landscape of career and success in the modern world. With his upcoming novel, Demir enters a new chapter, embracing the written word as another form of artistic expression. This conversation sheds light on the many layers that compose an artist's life, the journey of self-discovery, and the joy found in creative exploration. And now I bring you Demir Demirkan. To give our listeners a bit of context, Demir is in Virginia, like a couple hours south of Washington, D.C., something like that?
Yeah, I'm 3 hours away from Washington, D.C.
I'm in New York area. It's around noon for some orientation.
We're in the same time zone.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah,
I'm letting the people who are listening know.
Right.
When I ask you, how was your morning so far?
My mornings are really early. I'm like maybe 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock or so. And mostly the same. I get up, I have a cup of coffee or hot chocolate or something, and try to meditate in the given time before my son and my wife wake up. After that, the day starts. If it's a weekday, I take my kid to school and then go work out and come back and do what I have to do until I pick him back up again. And then the family life begins.
Okay, so he's already dropped off at the school now, and workout is in?
Yeah, I did all that. Yeah, I'm ready.
I know that you're a creature of habit. You have your routines, that disciplined routines, right?
Yeah, I try to stick to a regimen because that keeps me anchored. Otherwise, I go into the party mode, and which is great, but that's not really productive. And I like to be productive on a timely basis because I have a lot of projects going on at the same time. So I need to compartmentalize the whole, my mental shifts, and I need to, they're not all musical projects. One might be about investment and total like business and financial stuff, and the other might be some musical project, and the other one might involve more. I'm writing a book these days, so that has completely a different structure of work. So I need to satisfy all fronts throughout the day or throughout the week. I have to schedule them so that I can attend to each of them and every one of them with close to 100% attention.
Wow, that's hard, juggling different things along with the family.
Yeah, it is. Also, the family is a big time-consuming thing, but it's a beautiful thing. I think if you take the family thing like the basis of your life, and then everything is kind of like sprinkles of, salt and pepper and fairy dust and gold and shit. Yeah, so...
No, the shit phase is a little gone. He's a little older than that, right?
Well, yeah.
Shit not in literal sense, I guess.
No, not in literal sense, of course, but not everything you do in a day is productive. And, there's obviously a lot of bullshit that you deal with. Coming from outside or from internal things, basically. And I'm really big on personal development, and I really work on myself almost every day. Meditation is a big part of it, but aside from the meditation, is a lot of reading and thinking and solving your own puzzles, basically, about how you see yourself, how you see other people or the world, or what have you. And then you fine tune everything so that you can be more productive in a more, let me say, better way. I can find a better word to phrase it, and also quicker. I think time is very important when you're juggling a lot of projects. You only have, like, if you have maybe like 8 hours of work that you put in onto real work. So if you have 3 projects going, obviously you need to, get stuff done in a shorter amount of time to make better progress. You see what I mean? And because, if you don't kind of pace up and keep your pace up, they start stalling, and it's a really bad feeling. Once a project kind of slows down and comes to a halt, and that it really takes a lot of effort and willpower and motivation to, speed it back up to speed. And sometimes you can't, and the project just dies. And that is a worse feeling. So I try not to get that happening.
I find that really difficult when you're changing hats. Like as a guitar player, there's a given that in order for your fingers to work properly, you need to spend minimal of a certain amount of time a day on the instrument. Yep. And then when you want to put on the producer hat or any other project that you're doing, it requires a completely different discipline.
Mindset. Yep.
But I find it hard. Like for the recording process, I feel like I'm more productive in the evening when everyone else is asleep and my phone is asleep. No one is calling me, no worldly things to attend to.
Yeah.
I get to be productive more on that.
Yeah.
Everything else, I feel like I'm a lot more to the point in the earlier part of the day. Do you compartmentalize your day? Like you go, okay, after workout, Atlas is in school. I did my workout. So now let's practice for 1 hour, because you have constantly, you put out new shows. There's not only to keep your chops up, you need to learn new music, make sure it's tight. So do you have a daily thing?
My musical practice is not set on hourly schedule. It's more like, I don't have deadlines for that. So, but I have deadlines for the other projects, like this book that I'm writing right now. I'm right in the middle of it. I think I have 2.5 months or so to go to finish it up. And that is definitely on a time schedule. So that's priority. And the second is, there are a lot of projects that, they're tentative. You need to do the work first. And then as you progress with the work, the project kind of unfolds itself. So I try to keep that going as well, but they're not on a deadline. Just to keep them going, keep the pace and the groove going helps me with it. But I try to play at least an hour of guitar every day. Either I just jam, or if I have to learn something, or if I need to do some kind of a stage arrangement or something, I just sit down and do that. I'm very fast. I'm really quick on recording and, producing and, writing music. So that really helps me to, get done like in a small amount of time, short amount of time.
When you're writing and recording, do you choose to work at nighttime too in the studio?
No, I never work at nighttime. I am usually really tired by the end of the day. I rarely do something after 5:30 or 6 o'clock. That's like, I don't remember the last time I did that. Like I said, I wake up really early, so my day starts really early. It's enough for me. I don't have to do more. 8 hours, maybe 9 hours or so. Let's see. Let's make the calculation. So if I start at 6 o'clock with reading or meditating or something like that, and go on till 5 o'clock, it's 11 hours. 11 hours is a very good amount of time to get a lot of stuff done every day. It's 44 hours. Like if you're in a 4-day week, it's 44 hours. If you're doing a whole week with 66 hours, that's a lot. That's just too much, And I have to have time for my own. I got to rest, I got to party, I got to have fun, watch TV or do whatever, just hang out, That's a big part of life. If you don't have that, you can't have the other ones. You can't be productive or you can't be creative if you don't have a life.
Absolutely.
It's not always like go, go, go. It's just, you're just going to just burn out.
So while all this is happening, fatherhood happened, how did that affect your life?
That changed everything drastically. Seriously, I mean, we were having a lot of fun with my wife, and we're traveling nonstop and all that. And we didn't plan to have a child. And so when we figured out that she was pregnant, we just stopped every kind of traveling and partying and all that, because we were both 43 at the time. And it's not like you're in your early 30s or late 20s and you can still, women at that age, when they get pregnant, they still work out and do whatever, they travel and, but it's different. So we had to slow down. And yeah, we both did actually. So, and then when our son was born, it's a total different life. So you're on his schedule. You have a boss. Seriously, I mean, if you're responsible as a father, as a parent, obviously you're just gonna take care of your kid, man. That's it. This is life, and it's totally your responsibility until he gets his responsibility on his shoulders. So yeah, I mean, maybe that changed me in that direction. Maybe I didn't have a child. I was still recklessly partying and, going on tours and traveling the world and doing what I do. And who knows? Who knows? I mean, these are parallel universes.
Sure.
Yeah.
Did it affect your perspective on music and life, other than the lifestyle choices that you had to adjust?
Yeah, I still like touring, but went on tour before I had a child, before I was a parent. I didn't care much. I was on my own time, wherever I was just there mentally. But right now, if I'm on tour and it's been like 2 or 3 weeks, I wonder, I'm not during the shows or anything like that. Everything happens at night. When you go to bed, you sleep, and then 3 or 4 hours later, you wake up and you start thinking, because you're in a different time zone. And maybe, my wife is taking my son to karate or something, and it's dark and they're on the road. There are a lot of deer on the road. Are they safe? And then you get up at 3 a.m. or 4 a.m., wherever you are, and you call them up, or you wake up with a nightmare because it's in your subconscious as well. You worry, and you start having anxiety issues. And this is a reality with touring musicians. I read about this. There's a really good book about actually, she's a dietitian, but she was working with like rock stars and from U2 to whatever, and she was going on tour with them. And she's saying that anxiety is a big issue on your mental and physical state, because you're far away from home. You have your family there, and you're out there trying to have a good time yourself, trying to go with your business. Obviously, that's work, and also perform your best and keep up yourself to the highest possible mental and physical state. But it's traveling, and obviously partying. You're entertaining people on stage. You're entertaining people off stage. There's a backstage area where, the people that in that city show up. And, you can't just say, oh, I'm sorry, I'm so tired, I've got to go to the hotel. You just have to be there. And I'm not saying it's a drag or anything like that, but, it's one more thing that you need to do. So you do those things, and you're there at the moment, and then you go to the hotel room, you're like dead tired, and you sleep, and 4 hours later, your body's rested, and you wake up and your mind starts to work overtime, like serious. And I thought this was my thing, but when I read that person's book, I'll find the book's name and the person's name after we do this.
Sure. We'll list it on the podcast notes.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. And I mean, she made it so clear that this is a thing that touring musicians go through. Yeah. So you need to have all the help that you can have. Yeah, nutrition, meditation, water, macro or micro nutritions, your proteins or whatever. So if you want to learn more about this, whoever is listening to this podcast or this is a thing. You got to be on it. You have to learn how to do this.
So I want to get to the meditation part. So what I found with meditation and physical practice, the reason that I do them so religiously is really not because I'm invested in a more healthy future, this and that. I see the results the day off. The gratification is instant. If I don't do that morning practice, if I don't do that sit, if I don't do that cold shower, basically my morning routine, Me without them versus me with them is two different people. I get to
I know.
get things done. My brain works. I go to dark places much easier if I don't do that practice in the morning.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, that's the thing. That's just one of the realities of human nature.
People who don't have routines like that, they see it as an investment, like doing diet, refraining from eating. It's really not that. The entire reason that it fuels me to do, and I'm sure it does to you too, for you to keep that regimen pretty strict, is the fruits that you get from it the day off.
It really affects your decisions all through the day, and decisions are the most important things because your decisions actually make you or break you, basically, because you're deciding nonstop on a daily basis, like all the time, from the time that you wake up till you go to sleep. So those decisions need to complement whatever you're going for or the next decision that you're going to make. But if there is no coherence between those decisions, your day is going to seriously fuck up and it'll mess you up. It'll really get you off track. Once you're off track, it's pretty hard to get back on track. So I was listening to this guy's book today. His name is Gary John Bishop, and the book's name is Stop Doing That Shit. And he's saying that the difference between the really, really successful people and more ordinary people is that once they go off track, they get back on a lot quicker than the others. That is the basic thing, because everybody goes off track. Nobody's perfect, okay? Forget that perfectness idea, it's not there. So they do it a lot quicker and they forgive themselves or forgive the others, or just don't look back and get back on track and just boom, that's it. They're right back on track to wherever they're going. But the others, they dabble on who did this, why did this happen, oh my God, what am I going to do? How am I going to get back on? I need motivation. And wait, what? Okay, I'll just give a day's break. And so the more time that it takes to get back on track after you fall off is going to determine how successful you're going to be on whatever you're doing, or how successful you're going to be as a person, basically. So that's the thing that needs to be practiced. And these are all mental things. You have to keep learning and keep practicing on a continuous basis. You know how there are charts, like, the companies have charts and all that. They go up and they go on a plateau, and they go up again, go on a plateau, go up again on a plateau. So it's like this. These kind of practices are like that. So you practice and you feel great, and you plateau and you don't feel so good about it again. So you'll learn more things and you practice those and you go up again. You know what I mean? What I'm saying is telling you is a little abstract right now, but this is how it feels to me, because, I've been working with this since high school. I've been meditating since I was in high school, which makes me 17 or 16 or something. Life changes. Your life gets more complicated as you grow up. There are more components to life, be it work or family or your position in the society and all that kind of stuff, and money. And you need to know how to be smart with your money and manage it so that you can do better things. So all those things add up, and then you have people working for you, and then management issues come up, and you know how to interact with people, but you don't know how to manage them. Then you learn that. Then that's a big one. That takes years, So now you started off with this podcast with me as I'm a musician, but we haven't talked a single thing about music. These are the things that a person should be doing, be him or her a musician or a lawyer or whatever, artist, or athletes, or, what have you. If you have an idea that what you do or who you are will matter, you're going to have to learn all this shit, basically. Self-development, management, investing, money, and project management, self-discipline, time management, decision-making, nutrition, sleep, working out, physical activities, what works for you, and all that kind of stuff, It's not like, oh, okay, I play great, so hey, make me a star. Good job, okay. I wish it was so, but it's not like that,
Absolutely. And the core of this podcast is to go there, because all kinds of editorial information about your history in music and your musical practices and your musical approach, which we will talk about. But I believe if you're looking at the big picture, what makes or breaks you is all these other things that fall on the other end of the day, how you manage your body, how you manage your thoughts. So speaking of that, what is your meditation practice like? Is there a specific practice you follow?
Yeah, it changes according to what I need at that period of time. I used to do a lot of passive meditation, which is basically go into a meditative state, which technically I can say it's a theta brainwave, because we're in beta right now when we're talking in our daily activities and all that. And then if you kind of stop and you kind of like start daydreaming, it goes on to alpha brainwaves. And then right before you go to sleep, there's this theta. Theta is a brainwave frequency where you're really open to, it's a very suggestive state of mind, because you're very open to hypnosis and all that kind of stuff. And then that is where you can make changes in your subconscious. So that is active meditation. I've researched a lot about this, and I think the most technical, leaving all the voodoo and woo stuff aside, the most scientific and technical and to the point and quickest explanations are by Joe Dispenza, because himself, he's a doctor. So he's really exploring this human thing, the way that human mind works in a very scientific way. And he's been doing that for a long while. And his meditations helped me a lot. But on the other hand, it's not only meditation. You have to know what you're doing while you're meditating. I mean, it's not like, hey, be positive, okay, okay, childhood traumas, my mom did that, my father did that, my brother did that, or the bullies beat me or whatever. Or I was, not in a good state when I was growing up. Let's just say that. But how do you change that? Okay, you learn meditating, you learn how to put yourself into theta brainwave frequency and all that, but what you need to know about the psychology of things too. Okay, so to be able to do that, you need to learn the psychological aspects of the human experience. Meditation is a technique, and you need to know what to apply while you master that technique. So then that's one more thing on your plate that you need to learn. So you have to read a lot of psychology while trying to develop your personality or your mind or others, actually, because you affect everybody else. First of all, your son or your daughter, because you're a product of your family's lineage of, mental traumas and all the other stuff. So if there's something bad and you don't like, and it's counter intuitive, or it just kind of stalls you or not affecting your creativity positively, then you have to stop that instead of passing it on to your child. So some things need to stop here and now with me. So, but what is that? Why am I feeling this way when I'm in this? And I'm coming up to this successful moment and I'm kind of leaving it. And it's been happening because it's a pattern. This could be a thing. So how do you solve that? Obviously, there's a pattern there, which is a negative pattern. And you have to find out what it is in you, because everybody's different. And then apply those techniques, meditation techniques, and put this on to work so that you can actually fix your subconscious. Right? So that's active meditation. And that's what I do.
So what exactly are the techniques you employ to get to that meditative state? Is it mindfulness? Is it mantra? What's your go-to?
Well, here's the thing. You have to know how to stop your mind chatter, and slow down your brain waves and go down to alpha or theta if you can, and keep it there while you do the work. I mean, your conscious mind is still active during the meditation, because you need to impose your subconscious mind with what you need to impose it with. So you're really aware. You're not like sleeping or anything like that. Your mind is there. You're conscious. It's just that the chatter is gone and your brain waves are slowed down to the theta or alpha, lower alpha, so that you're open to suggestion, basically. So, how people hypnotize the others. So they kind of make them doze off, and then, the old, cartoon clock thing. So once your filters, your judgment filters, let me just say, your mental template shuts off, your subconscious is open to suggestion. It takes everything as truth after that point on. So whatever you need to change or impose, that's when you do it. That's active meditation. You can do transcendental meditation. You can repeat your mantra, or you can follow your breath, or whatever you do that'll get you onto the slow brainwave frequency.
But what is that you do? What do you employ to get there?
What I do, like I said, I've been doing this since 16 or something. I mean, I don't have to do much. Seriously, it's just like pushing a button. It takes me a very short time to get into slowed down brain frequency, because I can just stop the chatter and a few breaths maybe, and concentrate on some of the energy points on my body, relax my body, and then do some technical things like I learned from before, whatever works at that moment, basically. There's so many techniques, let me just put it that way. There are Buddhist techniques, Taoist techniques, Qigong, Neigong, and transcendental meditation, all kinds of Indian stuff. But, a quiet place helps. I sometimes plug my ears, so that I don't need the refrigerator or, the air blowing out of the vents. Or however long you can sit and do the work, you just keep doing it. Just do it whenever. It's a tool that you use. It's a function of the brain. So you have to learn how to do that. I think they need to start teaching this at schools. It's a shame that they don't, It's the first thing that they need to teach, because if you're saying that the brain is the control center of the body or the human being, then teach me how to use that, right?
Yeah.
Nobody does that. They fill it with shit, basically, that we'll never need. All kinds of lies and, justifications of how we are right now. They teach you the history, which they wrote. They interpret it, in quotes. So that you're a good citizen and you're a working person and you generate income, so you pay taxes and you're here in the machine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not saying this is a bad thing. It's just fucking stale. It's just so old, from like early 1900s, and we're so far ahead now. Formal education and the institutions, the governments and all that, they gotta fucking get a grip, because citizens, people of the earth, the living, breathing people who make the world turn, actually are way ahead than governments and the official institutional programs. I mean, you're teaching religion, okay, you can keep teaching that, but teach this young person, how to get a control of his or her mind. What's wrong with that? Is it so wrong that it might affect the institution? Maybe. Because then you're producing free human beings, free of themselves or any conditioning. Once you learn how to meditate and apply it, all those principles that I was talking about, what you do is you basically erase and delete your conditionings. So whatever that doesn't make sense to you, you can just skip it. You can just cancel, that's it. It can be gone. So your religion or your political view or your nationality or your history of your people or whatever. See, all that stuff right now, it's holding us back. I mean, can't you just feel that it's holding you back? It's holding us back as a human society. We got to change some of the things, because the revolution is not going to be social. It'll be individual. I mean, everybody does that. And then we get together and form a different kind of society where, the negative parts exist less.
Yeah.
At least.
You were talking about earlier, clearly I'm a heavy metal player. I'm not here to be a role model to anybody, but That's not true. You are a role model to your son.
Yeah, that's something exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I try to keep it at bay. Let me just put it that way. I am a very affectionate and loving person. People have opinions about metal players and how they look and how they behave on stage, or they think we're all crazy. But I think we're the sanest people on on earth that you can actually come across with, because all that stuff that you see happening in the shows or in the music, and you go like, "Ooh," and the music is like, and all of a sudden it just cuts down, and it's like you start singing nicely and all that. And anybody who's not in the genre will go like, "What the fuck is going on?" Well, you know what's going on? It's a catharsis. You're expressing your emotions in a very, very free way. So what is not healthy about that? You know what I mean?
Totally.
Like I said, there's actually a research. Most of the heavy metal listeners, the audience that go to festivals and all, punked up and, piercings and what have you, they're actually people that have kids, regular jobs, they had an education, happily married, and there's the cheating factor. A heavy metal audience is the least cheating in the relationships. Yeah. So, and the most ones are the jazz listeners. See,
Really?
I'm not pointing any fingers, but this is the research. The research is saying this, okay?
Wow. Most unfaithful ones?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
The jazz listeners. They did this according to music genres, This is so interesting. I don't know how true or correct it is, but it's just a fun thing to think about. Yeah.
Society thinks about rock musicians as sex, drugs, and rock and roll is how it's portrayed, but you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I wanted to dig deeper a little bit and watch some older interviews of you.
Oh my God.
One of them, you were saying that until you met Tarkan Gözübüyük, you did not think that guitar was something that needed being practiced to.
Yeah, right. Yes.
So what was the very first motivation that made you pick up that guitar?
I thought it was just cool.
Yeah.
I liked being cool, and I was physically different than my environment. I was raised in Izmir, and I was blonde, and I thought I didn't really fit in much, and I had a hard time in my mind. I had a hard time socializing. So this music thing, my brother was practicing with his band in our garage, and I saw him on stage. He did like a few shows when he was in Izmir, and he was in college at the time, and I was in maybe junior high or something. So I thought it was so fucking cool, and I wanted to be that guy, And I had no idea about playing guitar and all that, so I picked up his guitar and I started playing. Figured out that I had some kind of a talent that I can, press on those frets and make sound and make it rhythmic. I started playing Smoke on the Water right away, like every other guitar player. And then I started learning chords, but I didn't go to the guitar playing direction. I went into songwriting. I loved songs. I wanted to play all the songs that I liked listening to. So I found the chords to those songs and all that, and I learned them. I started singing them. God knows how bad I was, and then I figured out how to construct them on my own. There wasn't a lot of publications, and obviously there was no internet at the time. I was not able to find a lot of information on how to write a song, the lyrics, the development of it, or the form, the chord structures and what have you. So I analyzed them, like really worked on them. And discovered a lot of stuff like that and started writing songs. I had a notebook of songs that I wrote when I went to college. I wrote songs till I went to college. And then from college on, after I met Tarkan, the bass player of the heavy metal band that we played with, I was more into songwriting. And then he introduced me to Yngwie Malmsteen and Steve Vai and all the other guys who was shredders at the time, and I was mesmerized with their playing. I said, how can I get this done? This is impossible. He says, well, you need to practice. I remember it like it's today. I said, what? Practice. And I'm like, what do you mean, man? It's just what practice? What am I going to do? It's just, just put on some kind of a metronome and do etudes and, stuff like that, your scales and all that. Oh my God. I said, okay. And then I did that and just that. I left everything else and and after a year, I think it was about a year or maybe half a year or so, I joined the band. Their guitar player was taking off and they proposed that I join the band. I said, look, man, I'm not that good. This music is not my music. I was into Pink Floyd, David Gilmour and, Paul Simon, and Eric Clapton, J.J. Cale. When I say songwriting, I'm talking about those songs, those songwriters. And the first heavy metal songs I ever learned in my life was Pentagram songs from their previous albums. I don't really just, listen to a band and kind of practice it, take down the notations and then whatever, the riffs and all that. I don't do that, man. I listen to a lot of, obviously, heavy metal. I like it a lot, but I don't learn the songs. You know what I mean? Obviously, if there's a situation that we need to cover one of them, I'm just going to learn it. But, it's not really my thing.
Uh-huh. Well, in that same documentary, I also found out that the very first concert you played with them was at Fame City.
Yeah.
So for those who are not children of 80s and 90s and did not grow up in Istanbul, Fame City was an entertainment venue, like an arcade game center, mostly for kids. It was the shit in my childhood. So we have a 9-year gap in age. So that 9 year makes a huge difference, right? I was a kid. All I cared was playing arcade games and eating McDonald's there. And you were joining a rock band that was kind of pioneering in its genre. Of course, in the light of Moğollar, Barış Manço, and Cem Karaca, and Erkin Koray. But after all those, Pentagram was something new, right? Like brand new, actually.
Yeah, I think it was the first thrash metal band to put out an official album through a record label. That kind of puts the metal scene in the radar of the whole music industry. It didn't really pick up right after because it was still a niche. It was kind of like a subculture. And then in time, metal became popularized all through the world. There were bigger bands, obviously, in the 80s and all that. There's a lot of metal going on. And, Turkey was not so far away from the world and, it picked up. There were a lot of metal bands at the time, like Metallium and, all the other Dr. Skull and all the other guys. And some of them remained and they're still around.
Do you remember that Fame City concert so
yes,
clearly?
Yes, I do. I actually didn't know what Fame City was because I was not from Istanbul. I was from Izmir.
That's right.
Yeah, and the whole thing was a blur. But when people was cheering for me and they liked me, they liked my playing, I guess, and I had one pick. That's it. And I didn't have any other picks, and they were in my wallet, and the wallet was in my pocket at the show. Right. That was my first real metal show, man. I didn't know what to do. I had shorts, like, I could go swimming right after, that kind of shorts, like swimming shorts. And so they asked for my pick, and I gave my pick, and they asked for more picks, the audience. And there's this video, the clip is just, I reach down in my pocket, I pick up my wallet, I open it and take out the picks from my wallet and give it to the audience. That's so funny. And we still watch it and laugh at it, man. It was so funny. It was an amazing thing. And, but I didn't get the idea, really. I was like, why are these people so happy with me here playing guitar? And later on, I caught up to the fact that, if you're making people happy, they appreciate that, obviously. So, that's one of the big motivations that I've always had.
After that point, you played with the band and then you decided to go study music in America?
Yeah, I recorded with Pentagram on their second album. And before it got released, I was on the plane to Los Angeles to study at MI. And the record got released while I was at school. Like a few months later, I attended. Yeah. And I stayed in Los Angeles for 4 years and then went back home, this time to Istanbul. I rejoined the band. We made another album and my producer career started. And I was very successful at it. And then I became a celebrity for years. That is the hardest thing I ever went through. I don't understand the celebrity thing because I understand being a musician, a famous musician, but I don't get the celebrity thing. You can be a celebrity by doing nothing because it's a total different aspect of being famous, You can create an AI character and that character can be a celebrity. It's a totally different thing than being a famous musician. I think a famous musician gives a lot to his or her audience. And that's why people appreciate that person and the things that he or she does or who he or she is. But when the celebrity component moves in, it's your lifestyle. It's how you shave your hair, your tattoos, and what you wear, what you say, how you say it, your attitude. They all become a commodity. And the commodity is for sale, by brands and brand associations, media, and all that kind of stuff. I guess it makes people happy to see the celebrity, the person they appreciate, do something out there on the TV or something or social media. I just never could get it. I still don't get the idea of the whole thing. It was very hard for me. I wanted to step back all the time and, stay out of it. But at some point it was not possible because my spouse at that time also was very, very famous. We were right in the smack middle of it. And, it was just something that I had to go through.
How was that gear shift from that niche metal band to kind of producing to the more popular? Did you get any pushback from Pentagram listeners when you were like picking up with your producer career?
Of course I did. First of all, I was with a pop star, which kind of was a no-no in the metal scene because metal scene at that time was really more of a orthodox scene. So there is still a little piece of the percentage of the audience, keeping up with that, let's keep things pure mentality. If you're metal, you're metal. Nothing just goes in there. Whatever. Everything else is the enemy. So it was at that time, it was mostly like that. And I took on some blows, yeah. And then the real thing came when I made my first solo record because I was singing on it. Nobody knew I was singing, and all of a sudden there's this guy singing, and he's singing some love songs and all that. And I sang them all my life, but it wasn't recorded, so nobody really heard them other than my friends and my family. When I made the record and put it out, oh my God, it's just they unleashed hell on me. Media and the whole metal audience, they thought I was a sellout because they thought what I did was commercial, and then they thought I did all that because of commercial reasons. That makes you a sellout, right, in their eyes. But the truth is so far away from it. It's just that I can't believe I'm talking about this after 23 years. It's just I really want to put those songs out. And I wanted to sing them in front of the people who appreciated them. It had nothing to do with making money or being more famous. I was already fucking famous, man. I mean, I could just walk on the street and be on the newspaper next day. I don't need more fame. And I didn't need more fucking money. I was getting shitloads of money from the productions I did at that time because there were CD sales. Remember that time? CD sales, cassette sales. The record companies were rich and producers were getting paid. Not like now you wait and wait and wait and hopefully Spotify is going to give you $50 something. So the way I came over that retaliation from the media and the metal audience was just to keep quiet and keep doing what I did, basically, And then I had my own audience and it kept on going. I made more albums. And then I established myself as a solo artist then. I didn't like producing a lot though, I still don't like it much, it's just, I don't want to be in a studio just working my ass off day and night, sleepless, and the record labels on one side and the artists on the other side, and artist management is on the other side, and everybody's saying something different about the thing that you're doing, and you're kind of caught in between. You're trying to make this record to sell and also sound good and be artistically viable. So you're all like in the middle of this whole thing, and you're the producer. You better get it done because that's your job. They hire you for that. But they keep forgetting that they hire you for your musical direction, and everybody has opinions on how the song should be. So, it's one of these things that you have to go through when you're producing. This really happens when you're kind of hired by the record company to make the record of the artist, because they're giving you, at that time, in old times, they give you shitloads of money and they give it to artists. You go like, so are there any songs? Where are the songs? They go, there's no songs. You're like, the fuck, am I going to write the songs too? Well, sure. While you're at it, why don't you write the songs too? Oh, okay. And then you collaborate with the artists, or maybe write them on your own, or maybe go out and look for songs from songwriters and publishing companies and bring in, and then start producing or, arranging them in a way that, you see fit for that artist and the time and the industry, the state of industry at that time, or what the radio plays, the trends and all that kind of stuff. So, and you need to do it quick because, pop trends, they're like buses, man. One leave and the other one comes and it's different, So you got to get that done quickly and get it out there so it's still viable in a commercial sense. It's a job, it's not like a very artistic expression of yourself. It's a job, you have to be diligent on your formulas, your time management, your, people's management, your artistic take on how the sound should be. And then you have the artist sing in the room and you coach him or her to put out his or her best.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I mean, it's the reason that you're getting well paid is because it's a really, really tough job that not a lot of people can do successfully.
Uh-huh.
So when the industry discovered that what I was doing succeeded every time, I was on the spot. And then I started picking and choosing the best artists that I can work with so that obviously you're not going to work with everybody because you're going to die, basically out of sleeplessness or whatever. And also you want to be efficient on your economy as well. You put in the work and the effort and the fights and arguing and all that kind of stuff and sleepless nights. And in the end, you want to have the best outcome. If it's a more famous singer, then you're appreciated more. You do a bigger job, you get paid more afterwards with the royalties and all that. So, I mean, like I said, this is a career just like any other career. If you like doing it, be my guest. I'm not saying it's easy. It's one of the toughest jobs in the world. But if you do it right, you're going to have a good life. But I don't like it. I don't want to do it. Let me just say that again. That's not my thing. I just happen to be there.
What an accident. So at this point, you're only wearing the producer hat for your productions, right?
Yeah, but I try to keep that to a minimum. Like I said, I don't like production. I don't like the album sound produced. So I try to keep it as raw as possible on my material. Yeah.
I see.
I guess that's another production idea, but yeah, hey,
Yeah, I totally get it. To get back to the pushback. So you stood your grounds firm as you are, as with your integrity, and it's so beautiful to see now that none of that exists anymore. You are who you are, and no one cares about other bullshit.
A lot of things changed since then. I mean, we had a reunion with the metal band. Obviously, I'm still with the band when I'm in Turkey, when I'm at the shows and everything. So that cleared that idea of me getting kicked out of the band because of my girlfriend being a pop star. But now I'm not with that person, so that changed a lot. And also, my third album, which I put out in 2004, had a very, very heavier sound than the previous albums, so that helped a lot. After that, I made a lot of softer albums, acoustic albums and stuff like that. But, what was that thing? The 6 steps or 5 steps of acceptance. Do you remember that?
Is it Ruiz for
I don't know. I would vaguely remember.
For rules?
Yes,
whatever.
Something everybody says no, and then there's a break point that everybody accepts at the end. So that's how you accept something new. There's a process to it in the human mind. So, but when we're talking about millions of people, masses of people, obviously, that retaliation, that lashback is a lot stronger, and you need to really stand against it on your own as a single person, because what the audience or the media is attacking is your brand name. It's not you. It's, let's say it's Demir Demirkan. Okay, my name is Demir Demirkan, but it's a brand. I am Demir. I have friends. I have a family. I have a father, a mother, brothers and sisters. You know what I mean? Like, I eat, I go to the bathroom, I work out, and I get sick. I'm just like everybody else. But when you associate yourself with your brand, which is out there, which is your name, and all that stuff is laying down on you, like negative comments and all kinds of stuff and misinformation about you on the media, like, you're like, what? I didn't do that. I didn't say that. But people don't realize whenever they're doing that, whenever they're saying all those things or writing those things, they don't realize that there's a real person behind that thing that they see on the internet or the newspaper or the TV. It's a real person with a real life, I think right now, these days, it's a little better, but at that time it was really harsh. There were many times that I quit. I just went on retreats for like months out of the city, didn't call anybody, just isolated myself. Many times I quit music. And then I got back to it. This is a thing. It's a lot, I think a lot of people do it too. But I didn't tell that to anybody. Only the people that are closest to me knew,
So during the peak of it all, during your highly branded era, you were with Sertab Erener at the time, and you guys got the first place on Eurovision Song Contest. What year was that?
2003, 20 years ago.
So yeah, how did that affect things after you became, all of a sudden you were a producer that the song won?
Yeah, I was the writer. We had a lot of lashback because the song was in English in the beginning. If it didn't win, we were fucked up. I'm so glad that it won. And after that, a lot of people started writing English songs to represent Turkey in the Eurovision. And they succeeded again. What changed? I don't know. I think it was one of those things that kind of established the whole celebrity thing. I hated writing for a competition. I always said this openly, and it was big news on the newspapers after we won, because I said it openly. It's just like, I seriously hated writing this. You don't say these things usually because you won for the whole country and you're the only winner ever. Yeah. So people were waiting for like all perked up stuff like this and that, and I'm like, okay, it's just, I didn't really take it that seriously, but it was great because we won, and I used to watch Eurovision when I was growing up, and I was sad every time we lost. So finally, we won, and I was in the team. I wrote the song, and I didn't produce it, by the way. I wrote the song. It was Cal. First producer was Ozan Çolakoğlu, and then a French duo called Galéon. They did the remix, and it was the remix that went to the competition. The whole impact of it on my career, I don't know, man. If I was out to be a songwriter, a pop songwriter, make a career at it, it could have helped, but that wasn't really my thing. I just wanted to write my songs and get up on the stage, play my guitar, and sing those songs. I mean, all these things didn't really complement to what I had in my heart. I was just doing them because they were my job. Once the job is given to me, obviously, I'm going to take the responsibility and, deliver, the best way I can possibly can. So yeah, that was that. I didn't go to the competition, by the way, the contest. I wasn't there in Riga. I was at home watching it on TV. Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah. So what is next? You mentioned the book. Can you talk about the book a little bit?
Yeah, it's a big project. I think there are going to be 3 more books after that. This is a novel, and I don't want to say too much about it. They're sequels in a way, and each book is about one cardinal concept of the human experience. I'm writing in Turkish. If it goes well, there might be a chance that it could be translated into different languages. I think could be done maybe in 3 months or so. And then my idea is to also write the music that will complement the book. There might be songs with lyrics or instrumental songs in that album. And that's my next thing. But I have to finish the novel first. It's a beautiful process. I don't know if you know, I studied English literature in college.
I was going to ask that actually, before you came to LA to study music.
Yeah, I was in Ankara in Bilkent. And I loved literature. I really liked it a lot. And I'm really good with words. And when you learn also to write, because that's what you learn, obviously, if you study literature. I used to read a lot of anthologies, American or English, and some Turkish. But I always had this thought in my mind that I will write a book at one point, because everybody was saying that you got to write a book, you got to write a book. I'm like, man, I don't like novels. I rarely read novels, I usually read nonfiction. But when I started writing short stories and novels. I mean, I didn't come up with writing something about management or, whatever, like business development or something, or personal development. Because I think it's writing songs or making an album, but you're free on the form. Your novel has a form, but when you think about how many words that you put into that novel, obviously it's not as short as a song, right? Then this whole space that you can just fill up with all the colors and all the thoughts and ideas and feelings and all the wordplay and all the phonetic melody of the words and all that. Oh my God, it's a beautiful thing. I'm having a great time writing it. Seriously.
That's amazing. Yeah. Okay. So you can't say much about, you don't want to reveal much about what it's about.
No, I can't yet. No, that's sorry, man. Yeah.
Once it's done, in 3 months, you said, but you'll have an editing process. Will you work with an editor?
We're editing as we go along. I'm working with somebody because it's my first official book. Before I started writing, I started talking to people. Just like a musician would talk to producers. If you're coming out, obviously you don't know how to make a record, so you have to talk to the producers. So the producers actually kind of, how kids start learning riding bicycles, and then the father or somebody just holds from the seat, and the kid learns, and then finally goes off. I'm at that stage right now. I needed somebody there to guide me through my process, basically, because I can lock myself up really fast and so easily because of overthinking. That's one of my negative behaviors when I'm creating. And if I went into this, writing a novel on my own, I don't think I would go on. I think I would just stop. Somebody needs to say, this is good, this is bad, at least guide you through what you're trying to put out there. Because literature is a different field that I haven't been on professionally.
Sure.
I mean, if it's music, composing film music, or, I can write books about them so easily, but I'm writing a novel. And this is a whole different field. It's still art. I mean, we're in the same domain, but, the field is different. Not that I'm too far away from the field. Obviously, I studied it. I love it. I read a lot. It's just, there's going to be a book with my name on it. So I want it to be well received, Also, I want it to be good, because 10 years from now, if I'm writing my 4th book, I want to come back to this and look at it and say, shit, I did a great job as the first book,
Yeah, that's definitely what you strive for. Yeah. But even if you thought in 10 years it was shit, it still will make who you are that day.
Yeah.
Really, it's the beauty of things. I can't wait to read it.
Thanks, man. Thank you so much.
It's kind of hard to find people that you can be fully yourself and just truly laugh. If you ask me how I would value all the things about comes with knowing you, I would say the number one thing is the ability to laugh with you, man. I mean, before the show, after the show, we just laugh. It's that, and that's what makes life beautiful, really, because it's complicated and messy, and we don't know shit.
I used to I used to think that I know, and then I figured that I don't know, but I still pretended that I did. Right now, I don't give a fuck. So this morning, I'm sorry I cut you off, but let me say this.
No, please.
This morning, I was talking to my wife, and I said, I don't like the way I am existing in the music industry anymore because it's too tense. It's like I'm trying to make everything right on stage. The music needs to sound right. I just want to have fun. And I just want to play any song that I want to play. It could be a blues song, it could be a rock or metal song and all that. And just go out there and do the thing. Just have fun with it. Because I've been doing this since I was 18 or 17 or something professionally. The first Pentagram album that I made was, I think I was 18 or something, 17 or 18. So it's been a while. I'm 51 and I'm tired of career. I've done so many things. I've been on 4 edges of the same table. I've been at the record label. I've been a producer. I've been the artist. I've been the composer. Oh my God, and then what are we going to do with the financial stuff? Then I started learning investment. And I am seriously done with the career thing. I don't want to go on with the career anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the world is going to that direction too. I think the career idealism is gone. People want to be entrepreneurs and they want to be free. And when they're tired of their work, they sell it and go to the next thing. You know what I mean? It's just a different mentality now. It used to be different when we were growing up. The Generation X thing, the success-driven, climb the ladders of the corporate world or whatever, those movies and all that, Rain Man, the guys, selling cars and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So that whole idea, it switched into riding scooters on the streets with headphones on your head, going to a coffee shop, opening your laptop and selling shit on the internet. And if you don't like it, go do something else. Or get onto a work as a temp and get a job as a temp and no commitment. I can take off anytime. And you do. And go to the next thing. I mean, didn't we see all those notes at the entrances of businesses saying that they will pay you $1,000 if you just apply and stay on the job for a month? Just do that. Amount changes from hundreds of thousands. So you know what that means? That means people don't give a shit about other people's businesses anymore. So it's not a career thing. If you're applying for a job and working your ass off and getting paid a salary, which is being taxed, and it's a write-off for the company, obviously that company is making the money, and they call what you do a job, which can turn into a career so that you can go up and become a manager. And then this, and then that. It's just the climbing up the ladder. I don't think people are buying that anymore. They all want to be business owners,
Mm-hmm.
And business is so easy now because of the internet and online sales and what have you. So a lot of people are doing stuff that we would think impossible, when we were growing up. 24-year-olds are producing stuff in Middle East and selling them in the United States and making hundreds of $1,000s in a month. This is like new world. So career,
Absolutely.
yeah, I'm going to go on tour and play at like stinky bars and everything and be away from my family and put the $1,000, hopefully, that night before I get into the van and go to my shitty hotel room and, get my ass kicked the next day on the road in the van and play another show. And fuck that.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen, dude.
So at this point, you're more focused on the underlying feeling that moment, whatever makes you the happiest. Yeah. I mean, clearly you're still playing. We are playing. Yeah. We have shows lined up in February. But the approach is, and as it should be in someone in your caliber, after all these years, you're not after for impressing anyone.
Not at all.
You're there to have a good time.
Yeah, I don't think I was ever that way. I just wanted to do that. I like the sound of that music, and I wanted to be making that sound. It's just that. Don't get me wrong. What I'm trying to say, it's not wrong to play every night in small clubs or try to build your band up or your name up and all that. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just that if we're rabbits racing, there's no carrot in front of us anymore. That's what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
We figured out that the carrot is fucking plastic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think this is the best analogy that I can give you to explain what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. I mean, there's still the millions and millions of people fill those subways daily for the workforce that are chasing that rabbit in the world. Things didn't change that drastically yet, but a lot more people are becoming their own bosses now. versus
and
before?
all those people are aware of what's going on because they started resenting the idea, because before they were going there to fight and to get that bread and and go up in that ladder. I'm sure there are a lot of people doing the same thing still, but the young generation really is not buying that idea. Yeah, I think it's going to be a whole different world. I don't know if it's going to be good or bad, but it's going to be a whole different world 50 years from now. Maybe earlier, maybe 25 years from now.
For sure. Even in less time from entrance of ChatGPT last year to today's, is when you look at it, it's incredible. And with that rate of speed in like 2-3 years, I'm having a hard time even imagining how things are going to play out. But one thing you said, regardless of the evolving technologies, one's ability to reinvent themselves and not to stick to one dogma of I am this, I'm that. I am this today and I can be that tomorrow. Demir, we can go till morning. I mean, I will never run out of things to talk to you, which is I feel so grateful for.
Thank you.
Thank you for making the time being here. Of course. I believe many of these things we spoke about are good. I personally enjoy speaking about.
Hopefully your listeners are going to like them too, because I mean, we talk about some personal stuff and people who don't know me obviously won't care about it. But it's just that I was trying to give ideas about how those experiences affected me as a human being, as a person. I just wanted to give the human experience side of things so that people who don't know me would listen and maybe take some ideas for themselves.
I appreciate that, because that's the whole idea of this podcast.
Right. Thanks a lot, man. Thanks for having me.
And one last question, the humor part. Is there humor in the book? Like, when you're writing this imaginary story, do you laugh on your own?
Yes, because I am a guy who is very humorous in the most serious situation. It's just, come on, man. It can't, and nothing can be that serious. So you know what I mean? I mean, yes, there's death and all that kind of stuff. But if you lose that, might as well not live, because it doesn't make sense, man. One more thing. Okay. I was watching this. I was in Turkey. I missed home a lot at that time, and I was missing my family in the States. And I started watching this documentary about eternity, like endlessness or some limitlessness or something like that. Man, the first 10 minutes of it, I was having a panic attack, because if you think about what's going to happen to the world or to the earth, like if you expand your vision, like thousands of years, 100,000 of years, we're like nothing. So realizing that, this whole thing is so insignificant, but it's very, very important, because this is it. This is what we got. There's nothing else. Once we're gone, we're gone. That's it. No more Demir, no more Emre. Our sons, our daughters, all that stuff is going to be gone. And your cars, your house, your whatever, all this technology that you had, your songs will be forgotten. Your voice will be forgotten. I can't remember my father's voice. This is the saddest thing in my life. He died in 2019. I kept his voice in my mind for so long, but I can't remember it anymore, the tone of his voice. I remember his facial gestures and all that. So in time, we'll all be forgotten. That stuff that we took so seriously will be like nothing. Seriously, like, think about nothing is probably that, basically. So how can you not have humor? I mean, this is a joke itself. So you better laugh. You better fucking laugh. And die with a smile on your face.
Floating on a piece of rock that's just going around with a really thin layer of atmosphere protecting you from the vacuum of space. And I mean, once you start thinking about these things, just like how you're laughing now, that's a true, genuine laugh. We're laughing at ourselves right now, so it's beautiful. Well, thank you for helping me do that. Every time we hang out, every time we play, this happens. So thank you for everything.
Of course, man.
See you soon. We'll do this again. We'll do round 2.
All right. Yeah. All right. This was fun. Thank you so much.